Okay, so now we can counter this if we're fair by guilt by association, that they are collateral damage. And that could be true. I mean, it probably is unfair that they are suffering from their parents' very long, involved, and extremely friendly association with Jeffrey Epstein. And also, as non-working royals, it could be argued that they have the right to earn a living. So there is those counter arguments. Now we know, though, that the drip, drip, drip is going to continue because Beatrice was drawn into the orbit of Jeffrey Epstein on her 18th birthday. And these were actually published in the paper today. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty. This is who was at Beatrice's 18th birthday. Again, not her fault. Probably invitations from her, sordid parents. Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell. There was also a lot of other celebrities there that were perfectly innocent, but there was also a lot of people that were associated with under-the-radar financial deals that took place while Prince Andrew was Special Representative of Trade and Investment. This is in 2006. He'd been in the role for 5 years. Okay, MI6 and MI5 had created reports, given them to the palace, and they were ignored. Christopher Guy was telling people, don't even bother, the Queen won't even look at it, and she doesn't want to know. Okay, so we're in the height of these under-the-radar financial deals. We're in the height of the fact that we now know that there was obvious questions raised about the sale of Sunninghill, their home, way over the asking price. And it was never properly investigated. There was just a statement from the palace saying, oh no, it wasn't money laundering. It just looks like that, but it wasn't. Take our word for it. Okay, fine. We will, because we're all silly. Okay, next slide. Again, 18th birthday party. All right, and there was also numerous newspaper articles at the time. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up, there's a valid reason, okay? This isn't just me sort of being, like a vulture coming in on people that are on the down. This party cost £400,000. Now, apparently that was paid for by her grandmother, the late Queen Elizabeth II, okay? Now, what is interesting to me is not one royal attended. Queen Elizabeth II supposedly paid for it. Their grandfather, Prince Philip, did not attend. The then Prince of Wales did not attend. His lovely wife Camilla did not attend. Harry did not attend. William did not attend. Zara did not attend. And do you know what that indicates? They knew. They knew not to attend. Now, in the case of the boys, William and Harry, I presume it was just advice not to attend. They probably didn't even know. They were playing polo that day, and they were probably shuffled off to make sure that they were busy doing a charity a polo playing charity thing by people that were in the know that knew better to make sure they were busy. And Princess Anne's daughter was busy as well. So not one of their cousins attended. Not one of the senior royals attended. What does that tell you? Because they would have attended if they had have thought that it was okay to attend. So, that is very telling, and I think it's troubling. Very, very troubling. Okay, now we're going to get on to some more serious stuff. So I'm just going to scroll down here because I want to make sure I'm accurate. Now, there was emotional arguments also about Eugenie, which I will just briefly mention. The fact that she was seen as being friendly with Mission Nanu, who was very much instrumental of getting Meghan Markle on the rungs of the ladder on the way to Harry. There's also been many people that just didn't like the association, that sort of perception that she was a go-between between Meghan Markle, Harry, and the royal family. Also, the main point of contention was her appearance in the Netflix series, because there was a perception out there that she was probably telling them things that they shouldn't really know, that her participation in that program wasn't on, because it was the program where they threw the Queen under the bus, the Empire 2.0 thing, really besmirching her legacy. Maybe Eugenie didn't know that. I don't know. But it's very ill-advised, the fact that she was even a part of that program. So there's that. And people are right to be skeptical, and they're right to question it, even though it may not be something that deserves, great punishment. I think it's worth noting. And the other thing to note is, of course, that docudrama series came out after Queen Elizabeth II died, which just illustrates the level of cowardice of this couple, because they waited to have a potshot at her legacy, to tear it down, to have experts on this show to tear it down after she died. They weren't brave enough to do it while she was still around, because they knew what would happen. And I don't think that they would be poised to... he wouldn't have the Invictus Games anymore, let's put it that way. He wouldn't have any of his things he's managed to hold on to if that had gone to air when the Queen was still alive. I will give her that. Now, Andrew Lownie, in his book entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York, has indicated that Beatrice and Eugenie are poised to sort of cash in on Saudi ties. And I want to emphasize in the rest of this episode about Salman Turk. And the reason why I want to emphasize it is, I've done a program with Andrew about it, but I don't think it is acceptable that these questions have not been answered. The reason why I don't think it's acceptable was it happened in 2022, only 3 years ago. Now, by any measure, any reasonable measure, you would think that these questions should be answered properly by all parties concerned. I just don't see how they are getting away with not answering these questions. And these are the questions. And they have to be answered in a plausible way, because they attempted to answer them in a stupid way, with stupid excuses that no one with a brain would believe. I find it insulting. Okay, so Buckingham Palace has a role in this story. They have actively suppressed this story for many, many years, ever since it broke. Actively suppressed it. So that, in my mind, puts them at risk of being complicit. So I suggest they stop doing things like that. In April 2022, there was a High Court case between a Turkish millionairess who was the wife of a Turkish MP. Now, they were basically under house arrest. They were in quite a bit of trouble, worried about their assets being frozen. Also, she probably needed a Turkish passport to get out of the country, because she no longer had one. Now, she hired a Goldman Sachs banker, Salman Turk, and she entrusted him with $40 million of her money to get it out of the country, to move it out of the country. Now, she later sued him in a civil trial because she said that the money was used in a manner that she didn't intend. I mean, you would have to really trust someone to give them $40 million, wouldn't you? And it was used without permission. Now, some of this money was used without permission for huge sums of money making their way to the York family, to Prince Andrew, Sarah Ferguson, Princess Beatrice, and Princess Eugenie. Now, how is that okay? Seriously, everybody that is here, how is that okay? Well, maybe it is. Maybe they gave us a plausible explanation. So let's have a look at these payments. £750,000 went to Prince Andrew. And his office, when it was discovered, in the sort of, as this civil case happened, and he was discovered, his office came out and said, oh, well, that was a gift, actually. It was a gift towards the cost of Beatrice's wedding. And then they changed that because at a later date, it got a little embarrassing, because in the height of the COVID pandemic, Beatrice had a wedding with 20 people. So it was a little bit hard to, and a borrowed wedding dress, and it was a little bit hard to justify that £750,000. So, it was a gift. It was a gift to Princess Beatrice. Oh, we don't know. It was money for her to do with whatever she wanted, basically. Okay, that's fine. Then a further payment, £350,000 to Andrew for God knows what. Everybody, never told what that was for. That was actually, I don't believe, ever paid back. So we don't know because there's no financial scrutiny. £225,000 to Sarah when she was Duchess of York, a divorced Duchess of York, living at Royal Lodge in a 30-room palace that no rent being paid. You'd think at least she should have been paying rent as the ex-wife. So the payment to her for $225,000 was because she was doing promo for a US solar energy company, as you do. So she was doing promo for a US solar energy company and was being paid by a Goldman Sachs banker who'd taken $40 million from, a couple that were in big doo-doo with their own government, that was smuggling $40 million worth of assets out of their country. She somehow ended up with $225,000, and I've looked for this promo for this US solar energy company, never been able to find anything. It's uncanny, isn't it? Uncanny. You could not make this stuff up. And the fact that we are fed these ridiculous excuses, doesn't it make you furious? Doesn't it make you feel that with all this enormous privilege and all the loyalty and all the faith that people have shown in this institution, that they are just laughing in our faces? Now, I exclude William, Catherine, and the kids from this. They are not of this era, okay? And that is the one hope that this could be an ongoing concern, that the firm could be an ongoing concern. A payment of £10,000 to Eugenie. Yet she claimed to not even know Mr. Turk. I don't know who he is, but I think that was money that was from a long-standing family friend, and it was actually put in my bank account because they didn't want my mum to know, because they wanted to throw my mum a surprise birthday party, and they gave me £10,000 so that I could throw this surprise birthday party for my mum. Oh, well, that's nice. Well, that seems like a reasonable explanation. The next day, a further £15,000 was paid to her. This time, it's for her birthday. Isn't that lovely? So she's got £10,000 to throw a surprise party for her mum through someone she doesn't even know. And then she gets £15,000 for her birthday. Guess when her birthday was? 5 months later. So a nice early birthday gift. I would love to have friends like this. I would love to have people depositing that sort of money into my bank account so I could throw a surprise birthday party for my mum. Actually, I wouldn't mind doing promo for US Energy Solar Company. If there's any out there, I'll do it for £225,000. But wait, there's more. In the court case, it's also revealed, and this is a humdinger, this one might produce mirth and giggles. Prince Andrew received £50,000 to search for a yogurt production company in the USA. I kid you not. He's looking for a yogurt production company. £50,000. I wonder whether he just Googled it. Yogurt production companies. Click. Oh, I found one. Here you are. Better email that link off. £50,000. Ka-ching. That's good, isn't it? So when all this came out, the prince paid back the original £750,000. But to date, there's no news on what happened to the rest of that money. And there lies the rub. Do you find this acceptable? I'm serious. Let me know in the comments. Do you find this acceptable? And if you don't find it acceptable, make your voice heard. Because this has been going on for far too long without enough explanation. And what does it do? It feeds straight into Republic's hands. It feeds straight into anti-Monica's, hands. It allows them to undermine. It gives them real solid fodder to prove their point. And honestly, I believe in the monarchy, because if that disappeared from the UK, where would it end up as far as tradition goes? Where would it end up as far as that traditional British culture, tradition? It would be lost. It would just become another European city with, a potpourri of people in it. The focus would go. It would be lost forever. This matters. And it's in the hands of people that don't deserve the responsibility. Okay. Reports of gifts of jewellery from the Abu Dhabi royal family to Princess Beatrice were several thousands of pounds. And yet the palace have stated they're on the record to say, really? We don't know about that. They didn't chase it up. They didn't find out. Evidently, there's been quite, large gifts of jewellery over the years. That is all supposed to be on public record. That is supposed to be the Crown's property. The only time you get to keep jewels is for like a wedding present. Even then, that was changed with the Queen Mother and King George VI. The rules were changed, and for Elizabeth and Philip's wedding, the rules were changed that they got to keep. It used to be that it was, the property of the Crown, and it could be of the use who was ever the monarchy at the time, but then it would get passed down. Then it got changed that for, personal gifts could be accepted for weddings and things. And I think it's such a mistake. Obviously, such a mistake. Okay, I've got one more thing to show you regarding the Salman Turk thing. This is Fergs, this wonderful man. Fergie's dinner with a Turkish fixer, weeks after he put £250,000 in her bank account. Okay, and look at that. Rather an unedifying display, don't you think? Makes me ill. It actually makes me ill. Now, the point of this video to wrap up is this. My fear is the Prince Andrew and possibly the girls, definitely Sarah, will simply be banished. And all of this will be swept under the rug once more. And I think that's ethically, I think that's morally wrong. It's not good enough. And I keep saying that the royals are not above the law. But this is my line. This is my line. Because I cannot back what is clearly wrong. If it was a politician, I wouldn't back them. I wouldn't. And so any other public official doing things like this and being complicit in covering it up, actively covering it up, and hoping everyone else would just, change focus, get distracted. I think they all think that we're quite silly, that we just go on to the next thing. Crazy. So what I've shared with you today, I want you to think about, and I want you to think about where your line is and what you believe. And I want you to let me know what that is. And it doesn't have to agree with me. I've got some of your comments that I noticed flying past when I was babbling on. I want to finish with your thoughts. Kathy Butterfield. Lownie tells us about both daughters being brought with him on his trade trips to introduce them to contacts. That's correct. Now, usually goes to Middle East countries and does business with them. Just opened a bank. Wasn't that, yes, that's correct. And also Beatrice was photographed in the heart of London helping promo a bank, a Middle Eastern bank that had just opened up. I mean, the evidence is overwhelming. Adele Nepley, I've heard there might also be some shady financial transactions in the past with one of the girls, but I can't remember which one. That was the Salman Turk. case that I just presented to you today. I'm hoping that the king doesn't promote them too fast. I don't think they should be promoted at all. And look, unfortunately, there are other peripheral royals that have Chinese contacts for financial gain that are really troubling. And the only thing I can say with confidence is so far I haven't found anything on William, Catherine, or the kids. And that's a huge comfort because that's the future, isn't it? If you read War of the Windsors by Nigel Cawthorne, you will see that this is very much a generational thing, and pretty much most of the royals, including the then Prince of Wales, Prince Charles, was very much involved with a lot of financial dealings in aids of his charities. I'm not suggesting that it was untoward or anything, but unfortunately, in the course of his desire to help people with his charities, he was often meeting with people that weren't very good people.